Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to another episode of the Lab Podcast. I am Cody and I'm here with Kel, our usual.
Hello.
But if this is your first time
The
joining us,
huge.
welcome. Welcome to the show, the shit show. But yeah, Kel, how's it going? How's life? What's new?
Life is good. For the most part, it's getting warmer here. We're in like springtime, which is fun. All the spring flowers are starting to come up in Ohio. So that's been nice, and I've been
Nice.
pretty darn productive lately.
That's good.
And I'm finally back to lifting. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's the best
That's
part.
also nice. Heck yeah. So I had my first lift again last Thursday, and that was really great.
Awesome. So how did it feel? I know you're probably a bit sore since it's been a second.
Yeah, definitely a little sore, but it felt great to kind of be back and trying just to not really focus so much on like the weight and just kind of go by feel. But I don't know, it's really fun and I'm really excited to start building again. So
Yeah. I mean, right when you get back into it, it's kind of nice because sometimes feeling sore feels good because you don't
Yeah.
really feel as sore when you've been doing it for a while. And you just get this new, it's like a nice, refreshing, fresh start, right off of a break.
Yeah.
So you feel a little bit energized.
absolutely.
But yeah,
Absolutely.
so
How are you doing?
good. Just, moved, which is always, it's always a bitch.
Always
But
terrible.
yeah, got everything. We're combining, I moved in with my girlfriend, if anyone doesn't know. So we're combining two houses. So it's always harder, to figure out what to take, what to throw out. So obviously there's probably going to be a lot of stuff we have to sort through to kind of be like, we don't need this, or we have duplicates, something along those lines. We have a lot of duplicate kitchen stuff, but it's all like more on, like air fryers. We have like the same exact air fryer.
Yeah.
We have like 3 instant pots now. But at the same time, it's just like, I'm not going to say we're never going to use all of them because you could cook like 3 different types of shredded chicken with different flavor profiles and it will take exactly the same amount of time. So, it's not the worst. But I think other stuff as far as like household items and just not knowing, where to put all the things, but at least I have my office, which pretty much fits, I feel like, my whole apartment. It's just it's like this was everything in my apartment besides my clothes. But yeah, now it's just about unpacking and there is something nice about like a fresh start because sometimes you just gather a lot of shit, you don't even know how or where it comes from. So in the moving process you can throw out some things that you or like deep clean how you've like wanted to for a while but just didn't have the energy. So at least it feels like we got rid of some stuff and I get to have a real office, so I get to put it together. But I always get like this perfection, and this is probably my OCD, where I get afraid of putting things in certain places because I feel like it's permanent. So like I can't determine where I want to arrange things because I want to hang things on the wall, and then I'm like, but there's something with my brain that's like, once you put something on the wall, it's not coming down. I'm just like, where does that logic come from? I don't know. So I'll try not to overthink it, but yeah, it's good.
That's good, and it always is fun to kind of like do a fresh start on decorating because like you and Des will be together, and you can like kind of build the living room how you want it, and that's always kind of fun.
Yeah, exactly. So it'll be good. Still some work to do, but overall, like the exhausting part is over, so that's nice.
You didn't hurt yourself at all, did you, move in? Because I feel like I'm always gonna hurt myself.
No, I hurt myself like before we were moving. My back decided it was going to flare up, so that's fun. Yeah, and it's just one of those things where like existing just kind of sucks, and you're trying to like not piss it off more, and you're just like, okay, down in the ibuprofen, seeing what can touch it. Luckily it's a little bit better now. But of course, always everything has to happen at once.
Crazy. But it's been a kind of a quieter week. I feel like in the world, maybe a little bit felt like a little bit less stressful, or maybe I'm staying off of it more and more.
Yeah. That's why I was like, I haven't been paying attention to it either because I've been moving. So I'm like,
Right.
nothing crazy has happened, but there probably has been some. I mean, there's always something.
Always
Um,
something.
but usually, even if you're not paying attention, the world finds a way to like make you pay attention, whether it's through a notification or just social media. You'll see something huge that happens, and I haven't seen any of that for this week. Like, knock on wood.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing. I know a lot of this stuff that Trump has been trying to implement has been blocked or in the process of trying to figure things out. I know they hate some of the judges that keep blocking their shit, and that's always fun because they're like, we're gonna impeach them, we're gonna remove these judges. It's like, literally, are you dumb? Because that's not how it works.
You can't do that.
No, like, we have these checks and balances in place for a reason. And they don't understand that if they apply, this logic, like, oh, this activist woke judge keeps blocking our shit. Like, if Democrats get back in office, they can do the same thing and be like, oh, this conservative Christian nationalist judge keeps blocking our shit, so then we're going to try to remove them. And it's like they keep saying that Biden ignored the judges and all that by trying to forgive student loan debt. And it's like, that is way different. One,
way different.
But two, he didn't actually, like, they shot it down and he had to like go a different route, and he was able to forgive some loans due to like basically the school being a scam, really taking advantage of people. And that's kind of how it went. But he didn't ignore, judges and stuff. So it's lovely that they feel like rules only apply in certain circumstances and they can just do whatever they want. But yeah, no, like, we built this system for a reason. And obviously it's working for the time being. We just got to hope it keeps working.
Yeah, it's crazy. I went to a protest yesterday here in Athens about the deportation of the Columbia student Khalil, and that was pretty cool to go and kind of show support. It was with the students at OU because there's been a recent, I think it's an Ohio bill, I'm not positive, but it is been trying to take away the rights for students to protest, and make it harder, and like that they can get kicked out of school if they are doing peaceful protests and things like that. So it was pretty cool for some of the community to show up to support the students. But that was kind of all that I know that's going on right now.
Well, I mean, that's a big one for sure.
Right. I mean, it's huge. Yeah.
Because they're supposed to be all about free speech, right? Again, but only when it's something they agree with. Otherwise, nah. I know they've been going pretty hard on people about, protesting Tesla dealerships and the vandalism that has been taking place, which, like, the thing that I have empathy for is people who bought Teslas before all of this. And their cars are getting fucked with. And they're like, yo, I voted for Harris and I'm driving Tesla because I can't afford to, just, get a new car right now. And so then their cars are getting keyed or spray painted or whatever. I saw this post on Reddit in my local area. It's like the Roseville subreddit, where someone was like, my mom, she's like 7 years old. She drives a Tesla and even has a sticker. I bought this before Elon was a dick or whatever. And they're like, people still fucked with their car and, like, scraped up the paint and all that stuff. I'm like, that's what you got. You got to be kind of careful. That's a bummer, especially when you're messing with someone who didn't even vote for Trump. And
tried to communicate it.
Yeah. Even putting the stickers on is like, I feel like those people were just assholes to be assholes. Like, pick your battles. and know like what's appropriate, what's going to actually do something. I feel like peaceful protests outside of the dealerships are working plenty, and that's been something that has been happening in our area, which is interesting because I'm in a red county. So it's always nice to see, you know, that there's other people that are not just complete Trump voters in this county, because there's a lot of them.
Yeah, there. I did see in town just last week, someone had a Tesla with a sticker for Space Force on it. I'm like, come on, dude. And I also think that anybody who has a Cybertruck is asking for it, because those came out after everybody knew Elon was nuts. So
Yeah,
that's
I
your
mean,
own
maybe
damn fault.
a little tiny bit before, but they were always ugly. So anyone who bought it, I was always just like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah,
It
I
just
flip
spoke to
off
you.
every single one I see personally.
Yeah, they like if we live in a simulation, like those cars are from like Grand Theft Auto 1. They look like a pixelated car. It's weird.
Yeah, so stupid, so ugly.
They
I
are.
hate it.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
but I I don't know. I did. So we didn't mention our topic for today,
Oh yeah, we always forget.
but we were kind of wanting to talk about kind of making sure that you're staying on task while you're going through your life's ups and downs. And I know you are going through moving recently, and that one is a big one. I think I just moved not too long ago, so I definitely feel you on that front, and I think it ties in so well with what's happening in the world, and
Yeah.
I think this today's topic will be a good one.
Yeah, for sure. So should we dive in?
Let's do it.
All right.
Yeah. So lifting through life's changes. Um, so we got moving, maybe the downfall of democracy. Other big changes could be like kids coming into the picture if you're starting a family or something like that. Um, any other events that we want to throw in?
Like new job, maybe relationship shifts. Maybe you are in a new relationship. That always throws you the fuck out of routine for sure.
Oh God, that's a really hard time. Yeah.
Yeah. Mental health dips, depression,
Yep.
anxiety, OCD flare ups, all the things.
Yeah.
ADHD.
Injuries.
Yeah. Ooh, surgeries, injuries. There's a lot of them.
Yeah, so many. But I think there's like we can do some broad brush kind of tips, and hopefully everybody who's going through something out there can find something that works for them.
Yeah.
Did want to start it off with just a kind of a blanket statement that, like, obviously we don't know your individual goings on, so take the tips that help, and keep it moving for the rest. So let's go ahead and jump in. What would you say your first tip is, so when life starts getting changey?
Changey. I like that. I guess I could just start with my most recent experience, which is moving. And, I think you just have to learn to be flexible for a little bit and know that you're not going to be perfect or on top of your game. And I think it's really easy to fall into the all or nothing mindset, or even have a hard time getting back into things if you've like relaxed a little bit just to move. So, like Thursday, Friday, I wasn't able to get a workout in because we were just moving and unpacking. And of course, like in the back of my head, I have this like anxiety that's like, oh no, we didn't get to work out. And then there's like the logical side. It's like, dude, it's 2 days, calm down. So you have to just kind of listen to that logical side of your brain, and just get back to it when you can. And as far as like food goes, it's always the hardest when you're moving because your kitchen isn't necessarily set up. So what we did, there was a lot of Chipotle involved because you can customize it. So it's about like finding choices that you can order when you don't have a working kitchen that are going to, fall more in line with what you would normally eat. You'd be surprised how many options there actually are these days. I feel like most people probably have a Chipotle available, unless you're in like a really rural area. But even then, if you can find like a little shitty hole in the wall Mexican food place, you can basically do the same thing. Just order fajitas. That is your go to.
Yeah, that's
Because
what I used to do.
you don't have to do the tortillas if you don't have the carbs for it. But you have a good amount of like meat and veggies, beans, rice, and it's just, you can make it work. Um, so it's about just improvising sometimes when you need to, giving yourself a little grace and, getting right back to it when everything's set up and you're getting back into your routine. And it might take a second for you to settle into that routine, but you'll find either a new one that works for you and, just try not to let it trip you up. I feel like is something I just keep reminding, like, like it's just 2 days, just this week, you'll be fine. You're not gonna die.
Yeah, absolutely.
How about you?
And I really liked a lot of the tips that you had there, and I had another recent one. I've recently picked up some like side work with a department with a forestry program, and I've been dealing with a lot of like figuring out different schedules and stuff like that. So I think like adding jobs or changing jobs um, is always a really hard one for folks, especially because because it's eventually something that you just have to get used to, right? Because you're going to be doing this for a while. So I think with that, it takes a lot of experimentation and similar to what you said, like being flexible, but it's also figuring out like where you can spend your energy differently. So if you're going to be moving a lot more, maybe get your workout in early so you're not gassed but after work, or maybe changing meal times, making sure that you're cognizant on that to kind of help with your energy management, I suppose. So I think that's another one to think about a lot, and it's kind of similar with food. It's a lot more of planning and packing and kind of keeping that in mind. I always tell folks to try to save extra, put some in the deep freeze if you have it, so that if you had an oh shit time, you have a backup that you can run to.
Yeah.
Yeah, or things like rotisserie chickens and salad kits, and going to like real out of prepackaged things, but again, trying to keep your macros in mind and staying focused on that.
Yeah. There's a lot of things you can do where it's not necessarily perfect, but it's close. So it's like learning when something is good enough,
Yeah.
especially temporarily. What about, let's see. I mean, you also just had surgery, which is another thing to adjust for. I don't know if you want to talk about some of your experiences with that and how you handled things.
For sure. So surgery, and I know I talked to Cody a ton about this because I was paranoid because 6 weeks sounds like such a long time to be out of the gym. And I was like, I felt like I was just getting the size that I liked and maintaining like a certain amount of leanness. And I was getting really happy about like my physique. I'm like, shit, all of my work is going to go down the drain. And I think people think that they're going to lose their gains a lot faster than it actually happens, because it doesn't just melt away when you're not working out. Because like I couldn't do anything. And I still have muscle. And it wasn't that bad. I think a lot of that is like focusing on what you can do. So I knew I wasn't going to be able to move as much, so I really focused on my diet, and I didn't just consider that it's 6 weeks vacation. It was 6 weeks of, okay, I can walk and I can cook clean and I can eat when I'm supposed to. I don't have to go down the rabbit hole of saying fuck it to everything. And I think that's where people really misstep, because they're like bummed that they can't blow off steam in the gym. So they're like, I'm going to comfort myself with some extra dessert and stuff. And I'm not saying I was perfect the whole time, but I think just making sure that you're accounting for that and that you are being realistic with yourself.
Yeah, for sure. People don't realize how much diet can impact things. And it's just like, if you can control that during your recovery, it's going to, help you from losing muscle if you're making sure you're still hitting enough protein, but just also, not gaining too much fat along the way to where then when you start back, you're like, oh, damn it. Like, now I got to like go on a diet, so yeah, diet is huge.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also think what helped me a lot was still like I maintained a lot of my routine. So like I've always been a morning gym person, so I still kept getting up early, and I would either do stretch or I'd read or I'd do something else, but like just try to maintain the structure of my routine, just because I'm like, I am such a habit human that if I just from like, well, I can sleep until 8 now instead of waking up, and I would never be able to, or it would take me a long time to get back in the swing of things. So I'm like, I'm just gonna keep it the same and just treat it like any other day.
Yeah, like the more you can just stay in that structure, like as if you were not in recovery, the easier it's going to be when you have to transition back into everything else. Did you? I was thinking this could be a good post for you actually concerning social media, but like I have your photos of when you before your recovery to now, and you maintained really really well. So you might be able to show like, hey, look, this is what 6 weeks off looks like. Just because I think our minds play tricks on us more than anything, and you probably felt small at some points, and we're like, I'm losing all my muscle, like this is depressing. But then you look and you're like, oh my god, like it wasn't even that much difference.
No, and you definitely do feel like that, and I was like getting so in my head about it because I was like, my clothes aren't gonna fit, and I was being dramatic. And Maddie definitely called me out on it. She's like, nothing looks different, really. And I'm like, I don't believe you. You don't know what you're talking about.
My brain would probably take that to be like, what are you trying to say? Like, I don't look like I work out. Exactly. So this is all just kidding.
Yeah, absolutely. But then it definitely took a couple pictures to kind of get me that reality check. And I think it's so funny because people are terrified of pictures, and especially like if they were to have a break. Because I have some clients that I'll post, I'll be like, okay, let's look at your side by side. I'm like, I don't want to. I don't even want to look at the scale. I'm like, no, you did fine. Just trust me. Just look.
Yeah. Or like if people don't want to do that starting first progress photo because they're just like so uncomfortable, and I'm like, I promise you, I have never had anyone regret taking that first photo. You're going to want it just to see how much progress you've made. So it's like a little uncomfortable, like sacrificing some comfort in the beginning so that you have that to look back on and just be like, damn, I did that. So, that's a whole nother topic.
Absolutely. I think that's a good one. But let's talk about relationships.
Yeah,
how those can play a role.
Yeah. So new relationships, we tend to just get consumed by them, at least most people, and you kind of let things slide. And I think sometimes people are, I know this for me, like you're afraid to be judged or something with your self-care, and having needs, you feel like you need to kind of hide those. I do, at least. So you kind of put them by the wayside, but it never turns out well. So it's just, if you're in new relationships, know that, if you want it to work long term, eventually they're going to figure out that you have needs. Everyone has them. And so if someone's not okay with you going to the gym or prepping your food, it's not going to work out anyways. Or there's just the newness, like the honeymoon phase, where you're just wanting to be together all the time, and like the gym feels like forever apart, or something, or if they don't work out with you already. You can kind of adapt and just kind of like, with a surgery recovery break, know that you might not make progress, but you don't have to lose progress. Especially if you're not a competitive bodybuilder, it's not that serious. You can, adapt a little and give yourself some grace for the newness and just enjoy your person. But then eventually, you're gonna want to hop back into things.
Yep, absolutely. And I think letting your partner know like where your boundaries are and like kind of what the gym is to you. And I think that reminding and sharing your why you like to do it, or what it does for you, because I know um, this will be a little tangent, but I think it might be worth it. When I first met Maddie, I just started my first bodybuilding prep, and I remember that was like a lot. Like I had planned, like me and you, we had planned for so long before the show, and then it happened, or the prep started, and like literally, our first date was the day after prep started, and I remember, like I was really afraid to be judged about it because I'm like, bodybuilding sounds so douchey. and I just really got vulnerable with Maddie, and I was like, look, this is what it means to me. This is why I love it. This is why it's important to me. And I kind of connected it to who I was, and like that it was one of my goals, that I really enjoy the fact that as a trans person, I can kind of control my body like this, and um, build it the way I want. And she just kind of was like, you know what? I don't really understand, but I am in it because you love it. And it really helped us bond and like got stronger together. And, like 16 weeks later, she shaved my butt and put spray tan on me. So it all worked out.
Oh my
But
god. Well, you just like a lot of relationships don't survive prep. So you just started at the hardest points. You knew like you got through that, you can get through anything.
yeah, exactly.
So it's not the worst to
Yeah.
start off at your hardest point, right?
Right. And it really kind of, it only got better from there, right? Because when you, or after you're done with your show, you start being nicer, you're more full, you can like,
You
eat a
can
little bit
eat.
more. Yeah, so it's really nice. But I think getting to kind of know her through that, getting creative with dates. I remember for a long, we never had a single meal together before, or eating the same thing until after my show. So like we had to get really creative with like date ideas. We would go on picnics so I could bring my own food. We would go on hikes because I couldn't drink. Like we just had to get really, really creative. And I was kind of excited to have that extra push, because I think most people get, like, some people get really lazy when it's coming up with dates. It's like, oh, let's go get dinner and the drinks at a bar. Um, so it's kind of fun to expand your horizon.
Yeah, and that's like a great
Keep your
example
goals in mind.
too. Yeah. It's also a great example when people, if you're in a relationship and maybe you're starting your fitness journey, but your, partner is not so much into it, but you still want to, focus on your goals. Um, having that conversation with them, why it's important to you, and still getting their support, even if they're not like actively doing it with you. As long as they're supportive, or at least giving them the chance to be supportive. I feel like sometimes people are just too afraid to even speak up. So, then they, in their check in, they're like, oh, I couldn't log my food because we ate out, or I didn't know how to log my chicken casserole for my family or something. Um,
Mhm.
so it's just like they want to change and they want to make improvements, but there's this holdback of not being able to express needs for support, and being like, maybe you got to ask your partner if it's okay if you eat a little differently than they do sometimes, just so you can get closer to your goals. And sometimes it could be a little hard, especially if you're someone who's like bonded over food with a partner, and that's something that you enjoy doing. It just means maybe figuring out something else that you guys enjoy doing together. And that's probably a great thing. Like, you guys didn't have the chance to bond over just eating food. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
you had to be creative from the start. So, that wasn't a main, connector of your guys'
Right.
relationship. But it is for many. And I get it. Who doesn't love enjoying good food, with your partner? It's one of the best things. And you can still do that, but you don't have to do it every day. It's like not every day has to be a treat meal. It's like make it a treat. And sometimes the partners want to get on board too. And they're like, wow, you are inspiring me. I want to join in. Sometimes there's the friction of, I don't know if you ever watch like My 600 Pound Life or something. Sometimes the spouses are more hesitant,
Hmm.
because it's like, oh, like, well, what are we going to do together? Or like, how are we going
Right.
to, it's just the whole dynamic is thrown off. And that's when there's issues. Therapy's great.
Yeah,
So,
and
yeah.
and I do want to also say that like the quote unquote normal relationship, like what that looks like, doesn't have to be what everybody's looks like. Like I remember when Maddie and I first started dating, and like or we go out with friends in groups who just meet us. I almost never eat what everybody else is eating, and that isn't saying that everybody else has to do what I'm doing, but it I'm really guarded about my treat meal, and so like I
Same.
don't want to waste it on just someone's random potluck, like so I'm like I'll bring my own food and not participate. Like I that's the kind of rules I've made with myself. I'm not saying that everybody has to do that, but that's kind of how I play it. And it's a lot. People sometimes get really weirded out, or like that's so strange, and Maddie's like, well, that's just what we do. We like he likes to eat differently, and that's just how we've always operated, and that's me and Maddie's relationship. It's different than some people, and that's okay. It doesn't have to look the same as everybody else's. And I know that's in-laws are another kind of people who have a hard time wrapping their heads around that
They sure
typically.
do. They sure do. No, that's a great point. I think just we're just giving out relationship advice now, but your relationship doesn't it doesn't have to look like society tells you, or the norm of the way things, quote unquote, supposed to work. There's a lot of things that Des and I have been like, this is just how we do things, and that's what we like, that's what we enjoy. We're the type that one of our favorite things to do is just like for our anniversary, for example. I mean, we were exhausted for one, but a lot of people, they'd expect you to go out for like a fancy dinner and wine and dine. It's your anniversary, you celebrate. Like one of our, like what we did was we ordered Blaze Pizza. They have this gluten-free pizza crust that's really good. So we ordered some pizza, and then we especially ordered fat and weird cookies as
Nice.
like our dessert. And we watched the finale of Severance. Like that was what we did, and that was like it's just like our favorite thing to do. We couldn't think of a better thing that we enjoy. You're comfortable. Yeah, some good food, treats that you don't do often, and it becomes its own special occasion. And it's just you laugh, have a little gummy, laugh together. It's
Yeah.
fun, and just not thinking about other pressures of like, wow, you guys like didn't go out and spend money, or it's just like
Yeah.
we don't have to do that to be happy.
Hmm. Yeah. I think Instagram really pushes that idea of you have to be able to have everything at all times, and that's what everybody else is doing, so why aren't you? And I feel like people get stuck in that trap, and it's really, we have to sit back and remember that Instagram is a highlight reel, so people aren't
Yeah.
necessarily going on vacations every day. You can't and maintain the body that you want. Like if you're seeing people up online with six packs, that means they don't eat the cheesecake. They don't like, they are like, you can't have everything at the same
Yeah.
time. So like you have to be able to understand that maybe if you want to have that summer, quote unquote, summer body that looks shredded, you have to start planning for that now. And or those are pictures from last summer. Like you have to kind of
Yeah.
give and take to really get um, to be able to kind of overcome these sorts of challenges and changes.
Yeah. And people also don't realize a lot of times when people are shredded and in prep, they go out and they take photos that they could use for the rest of the year. So that they're always posting them with a six pack or etc. But it's not where they are at currently, which is,
Yeah.
it's almost like, well, it's kind of smart, but also deceiving. So you should be a little bit clear, like if I post an old photo, I'll usually say this is an old photo, not like, yeah, right now I am shredded. I am not. So, but there's always a sacrifice, and you just have to figure out if it's worth sacrificing for you. And, as long as that sacrifice doesn't come at the expense of your relationship, like your partner really hates something, you got to work through that. Or maybe it's not going to work out if this is something that you want to do long term. And you got to be, yeah, there's an old Christian saying is being equally yoked. You weren't allowed to like date people who are not Christians because you were not equally yoked, and the heathens would just pull you down with them. But it's kind of true in the sense of like you have to be on the same page with your partner and understand each other and how you want things to work, and yeah, equally yoked in that aspect.
I was so confused because I thought you meant like yoked, like jacked, and I'm like, what? I've lost I've lost the I've lost the line.
No, it's like the cattle. They're like yoked together. Yeah,
I got it more you talked,
it.
but like I was like at first, I'm like, where is he going?
So like I've been hearing that saying for so long, I forget that it sounds very weird. Like it's just a common phrase that I heard growing up, and don't give it second thought. So it's funny that was like the first thing. If you're equally yoked in that sense, you're probably on the same page.
That's what I figure. I'm like, no, that sounds like you are in the same wavelength if you're both yoked.
That's a good t-shirt. If like you and your partner are into bodybuilding, you just be like equally yoked. That'd be great.
Oh, that's funny. Oh, we should talk about the opposite end.
Yes.
Relationships ending, breakups.
Yeah.
So hard.
Yeah. Probably ties into depression.
Here we go. That'll be the next one. So breakups are hard, and I think understanding that it's going to be kind of similar to depression cycles and grieving cycles, and it's going to be temporary, hopefully. So, same things. Don't try to adjust to the bandwidth that you have at the time to do what you can, when you can, where you can. So, looking for those small goals, small tasks, breaking down things really simply are all going to be ways to help kind of get through that thing. Also, the revenge body is a real thing. People are in for it.
Oh man, that's there's a few people on my feed I know when they had a breakup because they're going hardcore in the gym. I'm like, oh, no more pictures of them and their partner, and now they're just hitting the gym hard
6 days a week.
Yeah, it's like I kind of know what happened there.
Yeah, but do remember it hopefully is short term, and that you will get through it, that there is light in the tunnel. So give yourself a little bit of grace.
Yeah, another situation where you just got to be a little flexible. What about like, should we just hop into depression from there?
Of course. Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of the same things. Do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I think it's just, matching your energy level as much as you can. This is, I usually say, don't just go through the motions, try to focus when you're in your workout. But there is a time and place where you just don't have the ability to do anything outside of going through the motions. So through depression specifically, that is better than doing nothing. And sometimes even just doing that, getting some movement in, will be at least a little helpful, at least more helpful than if you just stop, because guaranteed you're going to feel worse, no doubt. So even if you just have to go through the motions of things, make sure you try to stay within your routine, within a certain amount. Maybe don't go as hard, give yourself grace for that, or at least get yourself in the gym and give yourself permission to leave if you aren't feeling it after like 20 minutes or something. But the important thing is just trying, and it's going to give you a little bit of mental boost to even just do those things. The minimum, essentially.
Absolutely. And for folks who are going through depression or maybe struggle with other kind of like cyclical mental struggles, the one thing I always recommend is have a plan for like high, low, medium. Like this is like the bare minimum I can get done. So maybe that's just like a walk around the block, or
Yeah.
like a couple stretches, and then have like a medium level that you can do when you have a little bit more energy, but maybe not full like public display. So maybe you can do a body weight workout at home, and then the high level, high functioning, meaning that you can go and do your normal routine. So having kind of those plans in place when you know that something's going to be coming. I know sometimes you can feel heaviness coming, or you know your stress is going to hit hard in the next week or so, or that you're going to feel real burned out. But having these kind of backup plans can really be useful when you're already in the dumps.
Yeah, yeah, most definitely. I mean, let's be real. Like the last year, I was depressed as fuck, and sometimes the only thing that got me in the gym is if I was doing like arm day or whatever, like my favorite workouts, shoulders, arms, or something, because like back, leg, and chest can a lot more energy is involved there. So it's like even if you only do the movements that you want to or enjoy, like that's going to be better than nothing. Or you can even create like two different uh, types of workouts where you've got your high energy workouts where you're like, I'm feeling good today. I'm going to do this workout. And then maybe, oh, I feel like shit. I feel like I got run over by a train. So I'm going to do this lower energy workout just so you feel like you're still kind of like sticking to your plan, and, you know, planning ahead a bit, like you mentioned. So, yeah, it's okay to go a little slower.
Yeah. Well, that whole one of my favorite quotes that I've seen circling on the internet a lot is, if you only have 20% to give, then giving 20% is everything you had. So you're doing it. You are doing it, even if it looks a little different.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, I'm not going to lie, like it was frustrating. I feel like I was slacking or, just not my normal excited self to work out, get in the gym. And that in itself can be just, it kind of just throw you off where you feel a little lost and you're like, what is wrong with me? But you just have to have faith that like it's going to come back around at some point. So that's why it's like, I know myself. I'm just going to keep doing what I know I enjoy, even if I don't enjoy it right now. And then I'll get back into it and it's going to come back around. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. Is there any other topics we're thinking, or any life changes that we want to talk about?
We can talk. Well, let's see.
Oh, I had another. I have another tip, kind of for just when there are changes in general, or when you're going through shit. Again, focus on, like, have a tribe that you can lean on, who knows you, who knows what you care about, what gets you through, even if that is your family, or even if that's an online community. Hey, let's drop the resistance Discord again.
Yes.
But there are people out there who care, and even if it is just people online, that is something. I know, like, Cody and I have talked a lot about how like the internet is really helpful, especially when there aren't a ton of trans people in your community and everything feels so targeted. So knowing that there are people out there who do get you, even if they're in a different place, it's more helpful than nothing.
Yeah.
So just remember that.
Yeah. I mean, it's like even, being friends with you, you're all the way across the country, but like it still makes a tremendous difference. I'm like, I'm so glad Kel's my friend, even though he's all the way in Ohio. Like it's still that connection, still someone you can talk to and like gets you, and you don't feel so alone. So yeah, I think we often lose. Like, I know I'm just as guilty, or especially right now. I'm just like, God damn it, I fucking hate the internet. But at the same time, there's so many people in my life that I have met through the internet, like Kel, you
Yeah.
included, or just finding community. I mean, it also brings so much more resources because information, you can spread it around and help people out with information, or even I was so quiet and shy, and then the internet was, blogging was born, and that's where I first started being able to actually express myself and form my own self, and speak my mind and not be so afraid. So it's almost like in moments like these where it's so easy to be like the internet is destroying our lives, to just being like, it's all in how you kind of use it, or your perspective of it. So if you don't want the shitty stuff, at least we control a little bit, where we can either stay off certain social medias, um, and maybe even go to safer places. Reddit tends to be a safer place because you can specifically go to certain groups that you want to, and you don't have to like just have this mass opinion. Like that's
Open.
what X and Twitter is. It's just like everyone's opinions just right in your face. It's just political arguing constantly. But at least with Reddit, you can find communities. I mean, Discord, our community. You'll get the best of the LGBT community there. But yeah, just be careful of what side of the internet you're on and what you're consuming. If you're starting to feel like the internet is this dark, evil place, it's probably whatever's grabbing your attention at the time is making you feel that way.
Absolutely, and every time that we say like the internet is terrible, because it can be, I do
Mm-hmm.
like to remind, I just to echo what Cody said, I like to remind people like it is a safe space if you know where to connect. So making sure that you connecting with people who lift you up as opposed to tear you down. If you know that you're gonna fall into that comparison trap when you follow so and so, then mute them for a bit, or like you can control that, and making sure that you are doing that when you can. Don't go to the comments if you're having a mentally fragile day. Just keep on going,
Yeah.
and you have to be able to kind of care for yourself on the internet, internet self-care, I guess. And
That should be
just
an ebook.
right, and just remember that like you're not alone, and internet friends are real friends. Cody and I have really only been in each other's actual physical space for like 2 weeks total
Yeah.
since we've known each other, like maximum. And but like still, like our friendship is real, and we really help each other get through shit. So like just because you aren't face to face, flesh to flesh with someone, it doesn't mean that the relationships aren't real and that they can't help.
Yeah, and if you think about adult relationships, currently, how often do you see your friends anymore? Anyways,
True.
like I feel like I probably see you more than anyone that lives within 30 miles of me, because it's like it's always that, hey, we should get coffee sometime. And you're like, yeah, and then it never happens. And before you know it, it's been a year since you've even seen that person. So it's just like distance really doesn't matter the older you get, and you can still build things together, like this podcast, and we're going to a fitness conference next month,
Oh
and
yeah, we should talk
so
about that.
we should. Another great thing about the internet. So
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. And I don't remember what I was gonna say, but yeah, it's really awesome. And just remember to take care of yourself when you're out there. Know where your triggers are, and don't and set timers. Stop doom scrolling for hours on end. It's not gonna feel good afterwards.
yeah, especially if you're already depressed and feeling overwhelmed, because that's the best way to just pile on top of it. So yeah, you can get your closest internet friends' phone numbers and text them
Yep.
instead of opening social media.
And just because you're in different time zones, it doesn't mean at least maybe you'll have different texts to read at different times of the day. It'll be
Yep.
awesome.
Yep. Exactly.
Uh,
Let's see.
all
Did we
right.
miss? Should we talk about like anxiety part of things? Like maybe you change gyms, or you're
Oh yeah,
starting
that's a
at
good
the
one.
gym, because social anxiety has been, the biggest fucking thorn in my side since I can remember. And I still get anxious when I switch gyms or something. Luckily, I don't have to this time I moved, but I had to do that initially when I moved where I'm in the city I'm in now. Um, and it can be very anxiety provoking. It's weird because I'm like, wow, I feel brand new all over again. It's awesome. But yeah, the basically my advice, it sucks for like the first at least maybe 1 to 2 weeks. And then eventually the anxiety comes down as you get more comfortable and it becomes like a familiar space again. But you just have to remember all the other rules apply that you told yourself when you first started, or maybe you're first starting, where it's like people are just paying attention to their own shit. If people are paying attention to you or judging you, that says more about them than it does you. They're insecure. Like the gym is somewhere you go to improve. And if anyone has a problem with that, then they're just assholes. Like that is where the gym exists. And I think that's the thing that makes me sad when someone who's maybe first starting their fitness journey, they're like, oh, I have to get in shape first before I go to the gym. No, the gym is where you're supposed to, it's for everybody, for all levels. So don't feel like you need to get in shape before you go to the gym. And the right people are going to be the ones who, still treat you like anyone else, or they greet you, they smile, they ask you maybe about your life. You'll learn to form some friendships maybe in the gym. I never do because I just wear my headphones and I'm just like stranger danger. But if you want to form some friendships, you can in the gym if you're someone who's an extrovert.
Yeah, and maybe you'll get brave one day. I got brave right before I left my old gym, but and just remember that everybody was a beginner at some point. No one comes out as a jacked baby. So
I wish I did.
Everybody started somewhere and they went through the same damn struggles that you're going through. So just remember that everybody recognizes where you've been and knows it sucks. So
yeah,
you'll get through it and you'll get there and it'll feel like second home before you know.
Yeah. And I mean, there's sometimes people who, I guess the biggest thing I'd say is if there's someone who wants to help you with something, that can have mixed. Like either you're like, this motherfucker, is giving me advice I didn't ask for. But sometimes it's really appreciated, like especially if it's a machine you're like looking at, like, how the fuck, what is this? What do I do with this? And someone kind of sees you like confused looking and then they tell you and you're like, okay, cool. Thank you. I didn't know how to use it, But yeah, try not to like take offense if someone is offering you a hand, but also it's okay to set boundaries. If you don't want someone's advice, you could be like, thanks, I'm good, so.
You can also ask for help. People
that
are usually more than willing to help you if you ask. So that's also another process.
Yeah, I'm like, I hate asking questions, especially to strangers. So I literally will like, a lot of equipment comes with like little QR codes now too, so you can like scan that and it'll tell you how to use it, or you just take a picture. You could probably put it into Google or even ChatGPT at this point. It'll tell you what it is and you can figure out how to use it. Little obscure things that I have done as a very anxious person. You can also usually tour gyms before even stepping foot in them. Like for my gym, and I've done this to other gyms, there's Google, Google Maps. You can do the little person, you drop the little person down and you can street mode. You can go inside certain buildings that have like basically allowed that. And so I toured my gym with Google Maps and I didn't even have to step foot in it. I already was like, oh, now I know what it looks like. Now it looks different because it's an old layout. They changed stuff around. So kind of keep that in mind. Some things might change. But it's a good way to get an idea of the layout. So when you walk in there the first time, you're not surprised, or you kind of know your way around without ever stepping foot in there. And I like go in there slowly. I always say, I went and walked on the treadmill first just to observe, feel the vibe, the dynamic of things. That way it's like you're in there without the pressure of being like, oof, I got to go work out, but I don't want to go in the dumbbell section because there's a lot of big dudes and it's really busy, so give yourself time to observe and just kind of warm up to it.
Yeah. The other thing I used to do a lot, especially when I was traveling and dropping into gyms a lot, is I would go to their Instagram profiles and look for any signs of diversity.
That's a good idea too.
Or if their website has the coaches on it, I would go and look at the coaches and read their little bios. Or not even like, you don't even have to read it. Usually you can skim things. So this used to be my litmus test for queer folks. I would scan things and look for if they were military or if they were religious. Those were often yellow flags that I would further investigate into.
Yeah.
But sometimes you would find things like pride flags. If there was a pride flag, I'm like, okay, this place will probably be fine, it's safe. So you can always look at things like that. Usually gyms will have something, either a website or an Instagram. So
Yeah. Option. Yeah. And some gyms are just completely neutral and you don't know where they stand on things.
Yep.
But
corporate gyms are usually okay then. Also, like big box corporate gyms,
yeah,
usually
like Planet Fitness, yeah,
LA Fitness, like that kind of jazz are typically fine too.
Yeah. I still don't know where my gym stands. I'm kind of assuming they're on the conservative end of things, but I don't know because the people who own it are different than the people who are in it using the equipment. They're just like these. There's just this older guy. I don't think he actually takes a side. I think it's like his son or him and his son or something. But there's definitely like a lot of, Trump I saw a guy wearing like a Make America Great, like a sweatshirt. And then I was just like, oh, of course. But, we also have some trans women in there that I've seen and I haven't seen any issues. So although I'm an anxious person and I often worry about that, I haven't seen any evidence of that being a problem of safety within the building. So, yeah.
Yeah. I go to a community center. It's ran by the city. So it's all old people and me. So
you're the most jacked guy in there.
Yeah, I do get weird looks sometimes, but whatever. It's cheap.
That's always fun, getting weird looks for like a different reason. You're not the,
right?
newbies, scrawny guy. They're like, this guy doesn't belong here. He's too jacked.
This guy here. I'm just trying to do my speed walking. Ready for some power talk?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, so today's quote is pretty quick, and we might have done it before, but I really like it. It's from Theodore Roosevelt. Do what you can with what you have where you are. And I think that is really the takeaway from our entire podcast today, is to kind of just be like, do your intention? If you're going to go off track, right? So most people, when they're going through things, so say they're moving, usually you're not going to be like, oh, I couldn't have my chicken and rice, so I just went with a double cheeseburger and fries. And what you did there. That's not equal. So I think it's really just understanding your intent, keeping your goals in mind, and doing as much as you can with what you have, with what the supplies, the energy, the bandwidth to do. So
yeah, perfect.
Just try your best with more words.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So with that, I guess don't forget to join the resistance. Speaking of community, so we'll put that link down in the description. Or if you want to DM us on our Instagram account, then we'll send you the link there too. Follow us on Instagram. It's just at the Lab Fit. There are some underscores in there though. We'll put that in the description as well. Yeah. Any other closing remarks?
No, I think that's it. Until next time, folks.
All right. Peace out.
Peace. Bye.